Between the Caspian shores and the towering Caucasus lies a land where survival is written in claw marks and whispered in the wind. This is Dagestan. Here, the landscape itself is a paradox, where sharp cliffs plunge into emerald valleys, and rivers carve paths that have carried life for thousands of years. The Caucasus Mountains rise like ancient fortresses, their snow-clad peaks catching the first light of dawn, while below, the fertile lowlands stretch outward in rolling green carpets that breathe with life. The air is heavy with contrast. One moment, silence hangs over the jagged ridges, broken only by the cry of an eagle soaring above the abyss. The next, the valley floor trembles with the thunder of hooves as herds of ibex scale impossible cliffs, escaping unseen hunters in the shadows. In this land, every breath of wind carries the scent of survival. Wolves move like smoke through the forests, their amber eyes fixed on prey. Brown bears stir the earth in search of roots and berries, their raw power shaping the forest floor. And far above, the golden eagle circles, its shadow a fleeting omen of death upon the rocks. This is not a place of gentle coexistence. It is a battleground of instincts, a theater of life and death, where predator and prey are bound together in an endless struggle. Every moment is a gamble, every step a test. Welcome to the wildlife of Dagestan. In Dagestan, survival is not granted by chance. It is won tooth by tooth, claw by claw, and beat by beat of the predator's heart. This rugged land is a stage for confrontations as old as time itself, where every creature, great or small, plays its role in the endless rhythm of life and death. At the top of the food chain, the wolf rules as a strategist. Dagestan's wolves are no solitary wanderers. They are commanders of disciplined packs, bonded by blood and hunger. They prowl the valleys under the cover of dusk, their padded paws barely disturbing the earth. When the scent of prey lingers in the air, the pack spreads out like a silent army, each member moving with purpose. Tonight, their eyes are set on the agile mountain goats grazing along the cliff edges. The goats know the rules of this game well. With powerful legs, they scale near vertical slopes that seem impossible to climb, their hooves gripping rock ledges only inches wide. The wolves give chase, relentlessly, calculating every move. A single misstep could mean disaster for the prey, but also for the predator. From the shadows below, a lone goat falters and the pack seizes its moment. In a blur of speed and precision, the wolves close in, surrounding their quarry. The chase ends swiftly. For the wolves, victory means survival. For the goat, sacrifice ensures the herd lives another day. Yet the wolves are not the only hunters here. Above the ridges, a golden eagle circles, its vast wings cutting through the thin mountain air. It scans the rocks with piercing eyes, capable of spotting a hare from miles away. Then suddenly, the bird tucks its wings and plunges. The dive is a streak of bronze and shadow, a controlled fall at over 150 kilometers an hour. The talons strike with lethal accuracy, lifting a chamois kid from the rocks before it even knows the sky has betrayed it. In seconds, predator and prey vanish into the horizon, swallowed by the vastness of the peaks. In the forests below, the lynx waits in silence. This elusive hunter is a phantom of the woodlands, its spotted coat melting into dappled light. Unlike the wolves, it hunts alone, relying on patience and precision. A wild boar stirs the undergrowth, rooting for bulbs and insects, unaware of the danger that stalks it. The lynx crouches, every muscle tense like a coiled spring. Then, an explosion of motion. The ambush is swift, the struggle violent. But the boar is no easy meal. With curved tusks and unyielding strength, it thrashes, fighting back. Sometimes the hunter walks away hungry. Here in Dagestan, even the predators face their own battles. And when the forests yield to open meadows, the brown bear emerges. A giant whose power dwarfs all. Though not always a killer, its presence alone reshapes the balance of the wild. Wolves give way, deer scatter, even humans whisper of its dominion. For the bear, the search for food is constant, whether digging for roots, raiding a hive, or challenging rivals over a carcass. In its shadow, the true scale of survival is revealed. Dagestan is a land of contrasts, carved by time and shaped by extremes. Its geography is a tapestry of towering mountains, vast steppes, dense forests, and the restless shores of the Caspian Sea. Each region is a world of its own, and together they form one of the most diverse natural mosaics in Eurasia. To the south and west, the Caucasus Mountains dominate the skyline. Their jagged ridges rise like colossal stone guardians, capped in white for much of the year. The peaks pierce the clouds, their slopes etched with deep ravines and waterfalls that tumble into shadowy valleys. In these heights, life is tested with every step. Winds howl like ancient spirits, and snow covers the land in silence for months at a time. Yet, even here, creatures endure. Eagles command the skies, while ibex and taur balance their existence on the razor edges of cliffs that seem to defy gravity. Moving downward, the mountains soften into fertile valleys and thick forests. Oaks, beeches, and hornbeams cloak the land in shades of green, a refuge for bears, lynx, and deer. In autumn, these forests blaze with color, before winter strips them bare, leaving only silence and the tracks of hunters in the snow. Here, life flows with the seasons, each cycle shaping the creatures that call this refuge home. To the north, the vast steppes stretch outward, an endless ocean of grass rolling beneath the open sky. These plains are a land of herds and hunters, where saiga antelopes once migrated in their thousands, and wolves roam with unwavering determination. In summer, the steppes shimmer under an unforgiving sun. The grass is brittle and golden, while in winter, they lie frozen, lashed by icy winds. Survival here depends on endurance, a quality shared by every living being that crosses this unforgiving expanse. And to the east, the Caspian Sea spreads like a mirror of blue-green glass. Its waters are both sanctuary and battleground, teeming with fish and ancient sturgeons, while its rocky shores host colonies of Caspian seals. But the sea is not gentle. Storms can rise without warning, turning the horizon into a blur of foam and fury. For those who dwell near its edges, the Caspian is both provider and peril. A force as unpredictable as the land itself. Dagestan's climate amplifies these extremes. Winters are harsh and unrelenting, burying valleys in snow and cloaking peaks in ice. Summers bring searing heat to the lowlands, drying rivers and painting the steppe in hues of dust and fire. The land breathes in cycles of abundance and scarcity, shaping every life that dares to exist here. From the mountains to the forests, the steppes to the sea, Dagestan is not a single wilderness, it is many. A living patchwork of environments where every element, from snowflake to salt wave, has a role to play. Here, across these rugged terrains, life takes on infinite forms. High above Dagestan's valleys, where the cliffs rise like broken teeth into the clouds, a shape moves along the ledges. At first, it seems impossible. How can any creature stand upon such sheer walls of stone? But then the light shifts, and the silhouette of curved horns gleams against the sky. This is the Bezoar ibex, the undisputed master of the cliffs. With horns that can sweep more than a meter in length, spiraling backward like the blades of some ancient weapon, the males embody both majesty and menace. These horns are not mere ornaments. They are symbols of power, survival, and legacy. Each curve tells a story of years endured, of battles fought, of victories won in the dangerous world of Dagestan's highlands. During most of the year, the ibex live in small groups, grazing on sparse vegetation clinging to the rocks. They feed on grasses, herbs, and shrubs that grow in crevices where few other animals dare to tread. Their hooves, sharp-edged and cushioned, grip the rock faces with astonishing precision, turning vertical cliffs into safe havens. Here, predators cannot easily follow. Yet the ibex knows well, safety is never absolute. Winter brings the mating season, and with it, a transformation. Solitary males descend from their isolated ridges to challenge one another for dominance. The air echoes with the thunderous crack of horn against horn, a sound that reverberates through the valleys like distant gunfire. Two rivals rear on their hind legs, launching themselves forward in bone-shaking collisions. Each clash a test of strength, endurance, and willpower. The victor earns the right to mate, passing his strength to the next generation. The defeated retreat to the shadows of the cliffs, battered but alive. But while these duels unfold, danger is never far. Packs of wolves linger near the lower slopes, watching, waiting for weakness. A distracted male, exhausted from combat, may find himself suddenly surrounded by silent predators. The ibex fight back with horns and hooves, but against numbers and hunger, even the lords of the cliffs sometimes fall. From above, another threat reigns. The golden eagle, with eyes sharper than any blade, watches the herds from the thermals. It seeks not the strong males, but the kids, the smallest, most vulnerable members of the herd. In a sudden dive, the eagle strikes, its talons sinking deep as it drags the helpless prey from the ledge. The herd erupts in alarm, but the predator has vanished into the sky, leaving behind silence and fear. Yet the ibex endured. Their kingdom is the impossible slopes, their survival written in every leap from rock to rock. What seems reckless to the human eye is second nature to them. Jumps across gaps wide enough to swallow a man whole. Climbs up walls so steep they appear to defy gravity. For the Bezoar ibex, the cliffs are not obstacles. They are salvation. In the silent heights of Dagestan's Caucasus mountains, where the winds cut like knives and the air thins with every breath, lives a creature found nowhere else on Earth. The Dagestan tour. Endemic to these rugged peaks, this wild goat is a rare survivor. Its existence tied inextricably to the unforgiving stone of its homeland. At first glance, the tour may seem kin to the ibex, but its presence is more elusive. Its form heavier. Its horns sweeping outward in crescent arcs before curling backward like ancient ram's horns. Its reddish-brown coat blends perfectly with the sun-baked cliffs in summer, fading to a muted gray in winter, a natural camouflage against predators and prying eyes. This adaptation is no luxury, it is a necessity in a land where survival is never guaranteed. Life for the Dagestan tour is lived on the edge, literally. Herds navigate narrow ledges that crumble beneath their hooves, scaling cliffs so steep that even gravity seems to hesitate. With sure-footed precision, they climb where predators dare not follow. Clinging to rocks battered by icy winds and blizzards. Food is scarce, hidden in crevices or sprouting from the thin soil of alpine meadows. Every mouthful of grass, every lick of lichen is earned through determination. In spring, when the snow begins to melt, the tour descends to greener pastures, feeding and regaining strength. The air fills with the calls of young kids, stumbling awkwardly on legs too long for their bodies, shadowed by watchful mothers. But even in these fleeting moments of abundance, danger lurks. Wolves shadow the herds, testing for weakness, waiting for a chance to strike. From the sky, golden eagles circle, their keen eyes scanning for the smallest and most vulnerable. Winter is the true crucible of their survival. Snow buries the meadows, and temperatures plummet. The tour retreat higher into the mountains, scraping through icy crusts to uncover what little vegetation remains. Storms rage across the peaks, blinding and merciless. Many do not survive, yet those who endure emerge leaner, tougher, proof that the tour are forged in hardship. The Dagestan tour is more than just an animal. It is a living symbol of this wilderness. To see a herd silhouetted against the ridgeline at dawn is to witness resilience itself, a reminder that life, no matter how fragile, finds a way even in the harshest places. For centuries, the people of Dagestan have looked upon the tour with reverence, weaving it into folklore as a creature of strength and endurance. Its survival is their survival, both bound to the unforgiving mountains that define this land. Endemic, elusive, and enduring, the Dagestan tour stands as a testament to the wilderness of Dagestan. A species sculpted by stone, sharpened by storms, and preserved by the sheer will to exist. In the grandeur of the Caucasus, the tour is not just a survivor, it is the very spirit of the mountains. At first light in the high Caucasus, before the sun warms the frozen ridges, a sound rises from the cliffs. A deep, resonant call that rolls like thunder across the valleys. It is not the voice of the wind, nor the echo of stone. It is the song of the Caucasian snowcock, the herald of the mountains. The snowcock is no delicate bird. With a body heavy set and wings broad, it is built for survival in the thin air of high altitudes. Its plumage, mottled in grays, browns, and whites, mirrors the scree slopes and snow patches that dominate its habitat. To the untrained eye, it vanishes against the rock, a master of camouflage. Yet when it moves, it reveals itself as one of the most iconic voices of Dagestan's peaks. These birds spend much of their time foraging among the alpine meadows that appear between cliffs. They scrape at the ground with strong bills, feeding on grasses, shoots, berries, and insects hidden beneath the sparse soil. In winter, when snow buries these resources, they dig with tireless persistence, uncovering what little nourishment remains. In a land where scarcity rules, their determination is the difference between life and death. But it is in spring that the snowcock transforms from survivalist to showman. As the snow recedes and the first flowers emerge, males begin their elaborate displays to attract mates. They strut across rocky slopes with stiffened wings, tails fanned, their calls rising in booming sequences that echo through the valleys. Sometimes, rival males face off, their voices clashing in a contest of dominance long before their bodies do. Females watch carefully, choosing not only for strength but for stamina, the qualities that will ensure their chicks survive the brutal mountain seasons. Nesting on the ground, often in concealed hollows among rocks, the females lay their clutch under constant threat. Ravens and foxes patrol the slopes, searching for eggs. From the air, golden eagles circle, opportunistic hunters always ready to claim a meal. The snowcock's camouflage and vigilance are its best defenses, yet losses are inevitable. For every chick that stumbles out of its nest, many never see the light of day. Still, the snowcock endures. Its calls remain a defining soundtrack of the Caucasus, a voice that ties the peaks together. To hear one echo across a valley at dawn is to hear the very spirit of these highlands. A reminder that life, however fragile, persists even in the harshest places. Around it, the mountains also shelter other avian residents. Alpine chows swooping in playful flocks on updrafts. Bearded vultures soaring with wings like dark sails. And falcons darting with surgical precision. Together, these birds paint the sky with motion, each perfectly adapted to its niche. Above the jagged peaks of Dagestan, where the air thins and the wind cuts sharp, a shadow circles. Vast wings spanning more than 2 meters ride invisible currents with effortless grace. The golden eagle, sovereign of the Caucasus skies, rules here, silent and unchallenged. Its plumage is a rich blend of browns, but it is the golden sheen of feathers around the head and neck that gives the bird its name. Against the cold stone and endless sky, this crown gleams in the morning light like a beacon of power. With eyesight sharper than any blade, the eagle scans the valleys below, able to detect the flick of a hare's ear or the cautious step of a goat from distances that would leave human eyes blind. Then, without warning, the silence is broken. The eagle folds its wings and dives. Gravity becomes an ally, hurling the bird downward in a blur of bronze and shadow. The wind screams past as it plummets at over 240 kilometers an hour. Far below, a young ibex grazes at the cliff's edge, unaware that death has already chosen it. In the final heartbeat, talons extend, curved, razor-sharp, and the impact is explosive. The kid is lifted from the rocks in an instant, carried into the sky by wings that beat with terrifying strength. For the herd left behind, the threat has vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving only silence in its wake. But goats are not the eagle's only prey. Across the high meadows, hares crouch in the grass, every muscle coiled with tension. The eagle spots them with ease, swooping low and striking with surgical precision. Foxes and ravens linger at the edges, hoping for scraps, but it is the eagle that commands the feast. Its dominance is absolute, written in every shadow it casts upon the land. This predator is no casual killer. It is bound to the rhythms of the mountains themselves. The snowmelt brings hares and rodents into abundance. The breeding of ibex and tur provides young and vulnerable targets. When food grows scarce in winter, the eagle turns opportunist, scavenging from carcasses left behind by wolves or bears. In this way, the golden eagle weaves itself into the very fabric of the ecosystem. Predator, scavenger, guardian, the highlands bend to its presence. Nesting high on inaccessible cliffs, the eagle raises its young in cradles of sticks and bone. The chicks, downy and helpless, grow under the constant care of both parents. For weeks, the adults hunt tirelessly, bringing back a steady supply of prey until the chicks fledge, learning the art of soaring on the updrafts that swirl around the ridges. Few will survive to adulthood, but those that do will inherit the sky itself. When the alpine winds quiet and the rivers roar with spring melt, another ruler emerges, not from the skies, but from the deep forests and shadowed valleys. The brown bear, massive and unyielding, strides into Dagestan's wilderness like a titan carved from the earth itself. Standing nearly 3 meters tall on hind legs and weighing as much as 300 kilograms, this beast is power incarnate. Yet despite its fearsome presence, the brown bear is no mindless brute. It is an opportunist, a master of adaptation, and a living embodiment of the forest's shifting moods. In the early spring, when ice retreats and rivers rush with new life, the bear's focus turns to fish. Salmon and trout churn against the current, their migration an irresistible bounty. The bear wades into the torrent, fur glistening with spray, eyes locked on the silver flash of scales. With a sudden lunge, jaws snap shut around a writhing prize, and the feast begins. Each catch fuels the bear's vast body, a reservoir of energy for the challenges yet to come. But the rivers have only one banquet hall. By summer, the forests transform into endless buffets of berries, nuts, and roots. A bear's nose, capable of detecting scents kilometers away, leads it to ripening berry bushes, where it plucks and devours with surprising delicacy. What looks like a creature built solely for battle reveals its softer side here, a forager, as much at home in fruit-laden meadows as in roaring streams. Still, the most powerful stories of these titans belong not to the hunts or the harvests, but to the mothers. A female bear with cubs is among the most formidable forces in nature. Her patience in teaching them to dig, fish, and climb is matched only by her ferocity in defending them. Wolves, bold as they may be, hesitate to challenge a mother bear. Even the great golden eagle, ever watchful from above, dares not swoop on her young while she stands guard. Her love is written not in tenderness, but in unwavering vigilance, backed by claws that can shred bark and bone alike. As the seasons turn, so too does the bear's rhythm of life. Autumn is a frenzy of preparation, a desperate race to consume enough calories to survive the long slumber ahead. Fat builds thick beneath its skin, fur grows dense, and the bear becomes a walking fortress against the approaching cold. Then when the first snows blanket Dagestan's mountains, the titan vanishes, hidden in dens carved into earth and rock. Bears retreat into months of hibernation, their heartbeats slowing, their great bodies sustained by the reserves they so carefully built. To the outside world, it seems as if the forests have fallen silent. But in truth, the bears are simply biding their time, waiting for the thaw to call them back once more. In the hushed stillness of Dagestan's forests, where snow muffles every sound and the moon casts silver light across the land, a shadow moves. It is neither wolf nor bear, but something smaller, more elusive, yet no less formidable. The Eurasian lynx, with tufted ears like dark pennants and eyes glowing amber in the twilight, is the ghost of the Caucasus. Unlike the wolf, which announces its presence with howls, or the bear, which dominates through sheer size, the lynx is a master of silence. It stalks through thickets and snowdrifts with steps so delicate they leave barely a trace. Its spotted coat is a living camouflage, vanishing into the dappled shadows of forest and rock. To see a lynx in the wild is a rare gift. More often, one only witnesses the aftermath of its passing, fresh tracks in the snow, or the eerie quiet of a forest where prey has sensed danger. The lynx hunts alone, relying on patience and precision. Its primary quarry: roe deer, hares, and unsuspecting birds. A single pounce, fueled by coiled muscle and pinpoint accuracy, is enough to bring down prey many times its own size. When the lynx strikes, it is sudden and absolute, an executioner with no wasted motion. But life is not always solitary. As winter wanes and the mating season approaches, the forests echo with haunting calls, long drawn-out wails that pierce the night. These calls, half song and half challenge, draw mates together but also stir fierce rivalries. Males battle for territory and breeding rights, their fights brief yet violent, their cries reverberating through the mountains like ancient war drums. For females, the season brings new purpose. After months of secrecy, a lynx mother gives birth in a sheltered den, often hidden within rocky crevices or beneath fallen trees. The kittens, born blind and helpless, are nurtured with fierce devotion. For weeks, she rarely leaves their side, surviving on small hunts and relying on instinct to shield her young from threats. When the time comes, she teaches them the art of stealth, guiding them through their first clumsy attempts at stalking. Every lesson is a step toward independence, for survival in Dagestan offers no mercy to the unprepared. Wolves, larger and cooperative, compete for prey, while golden eagles watch from above, waiting for a careless kitten to stray too far. In these moments, the lynx's greatest ally remains its secrecy, disappearing into shadows where no predator dares follow. When the first light of dawn spills across Dagestan's valleys, long shadows stretch over meadows painted in dew. Here, where rivers braid through the grasslands and forests fringe the horizon. Movement begins, quiet at first, then steady and sure. The red deer and roe deer, two of the region's most graceful herbivores, step into the open. Their presence is both fragile and commanding, a reminder that not all power in the wild is measured in claws and fangs. The red deer, majestic and towering, stands as one of the largest mammals in Dagestan. Males bear antlers like crowns of polished bone, sprawling structures that grow heavier and more elaborate with each passing year. When autumn comes, these antlers become weapons in brutal contests. In the misty mornings of the rut, the valleys echo with the deep, resonant roars of stags. Two males meet, lock antlers with a thunderous crack, and push with all their weight in a primal battle for dominance. Victory grants the right to sire the next generation, while defeat sends the loser retreating into the shadows. By contrast, the roe deer is smaller, more delicate, yet equally vital to these landscapes. With their reddish summer coats and white winter pelts, they embody adaptability. They move lightly across the terrain, slipping between thickets with elegance, vanishing almost as quickly as they appear. Where red deer dominate the open valleys, roe deer thrive at the forest edge, weaving a quieter story of survival. Seasons dictate their rhythms. In summer, both species graze freely on lush meadows, feeding on grasses, herbs, and shoots. But as winter's grip tightens, food grows scarce, and survival demands movement. Herds descend from highland forests to the more forgiving lowlands, tracing ancient migratory paths etched into the memory of generations. Each step carries risk, for wolves follow their trails, and eagles scan for the weak or the young. Yet even in this constant cycle of predator and prey, beauty thrives. A red stag silhouetted against a setting sun, steam rising from its breath in the crisp evening air. A roe doe leading her fawns through tall grasses, pausing only when the wind shifts, her ears flicking at the faintest sound. These moments, fleeting and delicate, define the harmony of Dagestan's valleys. The deer of Dagestan are more than grazers. They are sculptors of the land. Their feeding shapes the growth of plants. Their migrations guide predators. And their very presence sustains the balance of these wild ecosystems. As the sun filters through the dense canopy of Dagestan's forests, life awakens in a chorus that rivals the rush of rivers or the roar of storms. The air trembles with song, wings beat against shafts of golden light, and the trees themselves seem to hum with vitality. This is the realm of the forest birds, small in stature, yet immense in their role as the threads binding the wilderness together. From the silence of dawn, the rhythmic tapping of a woodpecker announces itself like a drumbeat in the distance. These tireless carpenters bore into bark with precise strokes, chiseling out both meals and homes. Their powerful beaks uncover grubs hidden deep within trees, while the cavities they leave behind become shelters for countless other creatures. Each strike echoes like a heartbeat of the forest, reminding us that even the smallest engineers shape entire ecosystems. As daylight fades and shadows stretch, another voice takes the stage. The owl, silent and spectral, glides between branches on wings built for stealth. Its round eyes glow in the moonlight, scanning for the faintest rustle in the undergrowth. Mice, voles, and unsuspecting songbirds fall victim to its soundless dive. For the nocturnal world, the owl is both guardian and executioner. A symbol of mystery woven into the fabric of night. But the forest is never still for long. Each season paints it in new colors, carried on the wings of migratory species. In spring, warblers and swallows arrive from distant lands, filling the woods with chatter and energy. They weave nests of grass and twigs, raising their broods in a fleeting window of abundance, before continuing their journeys. Come autumn, the skies over Dagestan darken with flocks departing south, their departure marking the forest's shift towards silence and slumber. Among them, the songbirds reign supreme, their melodies flowing like rivers through the undergrowth. Across the windswept steppes of Dagestan, where the horizon stretches unbroken and the sun turns grasslands into seas of gold, a strange and ancient figure moves. At first glance, it seems almost otherworldly, its swollen nose curving downward like the relic of some prehistoric age. This is the saiga antelope, one of the planet's most remarkable survivors, and one of the rarest creatures still clinging to life in the wilds of Eurasia. The saiga is a ghost of another era, a species that once roamed alongside woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats. Today, it survives only in fragmented pockets across Central Asia and the Caspian steppes, with Dagestan standing as one of its last refugees. Their distinctive bulbous noses, though odd to the human eye, are miracles of adaptation. In the blistering heat of summer, they filter dust from the dry steppe air. In the freezing gales of winter, they warm the icy breath before it reaches the lungs. This strange face is not a deformity, but a key to endurance. Yet endurance is tested daily. Saiga antelopes are wanderers by nature, sweeping across the grasslands in vast herds that once numbered in the millions. Their migrations were spectacles beyond comparison, dust clouds rising like storms as thousands surged forward in unison, hooves drumming an ancient rhythm into the earth. Even today, though their numbers are drastically reduced, these migrations remain among the most dramatic scenes in the Caspian wild. A river in their path becomes a torrent of motion, animals plunging into the current, calves pressed close to their mothers as the herd presses on, driven by instincts older than civilization itself. But survival here is more fragile than ever. Wolves and golden eagles remain natural predators, testing the edges of the herd. Yet the greatest threat is no longer born of fangs or talons, but of human hands. Poaching for horns, prized in traditional medicine, and habitat loss from agriculture and development have pushed the saiga to the brink of extinction. Disease outbreaks, often worsened by environmental stress, can decimate entire populations in a single season. When twilight spills across the Caspian steppe, and the grasses ripple like an endless ocean, another presence awakens. From the shadows comes a shape lean and purposeful, eyes burning with intelligence, then another and another. Soon the stillness is broken by a chorus of howls, low, rising and echoing across the plains. The wolves of Dagestan have begun their nightly patrol. These predators are not solitary assassins, but strategists, bound by kinship and coordination. A wolf pack is more than a hunting group. It is a family, led by an alpha pair whose authority is written in subtle gestures and sharp glances. Every member has a role, from the youngest scouts darting ahead to the seasoned hunters who anchor the chase. Their strength lies not in raw power but in unity. On the steppes, their quarry is swift and wary. Roe deer, saiga antelope and hares know the danger well. Their senses sharpened by generations of survival. Yet the wolf's strategy is relentless. A pack may stalk for hours, silently shadowing a herd until the right moment arrives. Then, with a sudden burst, they ignite the chase. Some wolves drive the herd forward, while others cut across the flanks, anticipating every turn, every stumble. The weakest or slowest animal becomes the focus, and the hunt closes like a tightening snare. But wolves are not only hunters, they are thinkers. Their communication is a tapestry of growls, whines, and body language. A flick of the tail, a twitch of the ear, a glance in the dark. These are signals that bind the pack into one organism. It is this coordination, this instinctive understanding, that has made them one of nature's most enduring predators. Wolves share their lands with shepherds and flocks, and the boundary between wild and domestic is thin. For centuries, the people of Dagestan have clashed with these shadowy hunters. Livestock raiding has earned wolves a place as both feared rivals and symbols of resilience. To the shepherd, the wolf is a thief. To the steppe, it is balanced incarnate, keeping herds of wild grazers strong by culling the weak. Beneath the forest canopy of Dagestan, where light filters through oak and beech like shards of stained glass, a different rhythm stirs. The ground trembles with grunts, snorts, and the restless shuffle of hooves. From thickets and riverbanks emerge the wild boar, thick-bodied, sharp-tusked, and endlessly industrious. They may not soar like eagles or stalk like wolves, but these omnivores are among the most influential architects of the land. Their tool is not claw or beak, but the snout, an extraordinary plow capable of turning over the earth itself. With relentless energy, wild boar dig through soil and leaf litter in search of roots, bulbs, insects, and worms. In their wake, the land is transformed. The forest floor, once still and carpeted in moss, becomes a mosaic of freshly churned soil. What may look like destruction is, in truth, creation. Their digging aerates the earth, spreads seeds, and sparks new growth. They are engineers, shaping the ecosystem with every thrust of their tusked heads. But these engineers carry with them the ferocity of warriors. Wild boar are notoriously fearless, their bodies sheathed in thick hides and their tusks sharp as knives. When threatened, they do not flee easily. A cornered boar charges with astonishing speed, capable of knocking down predators much larger than themselves. Wolves, though skilled hunters, often hesitate when facing a determined boar. A pack may surround and harass, but one misstep can mean a slashing counterattack that leaves even the boldest predator wounded. Females, known as sows, are especially fierce when defending their young. A litter of piglets, striped like miniature shadows, follows close behind their mother as she forages. At the faintest hint of danger, the sow's demeanor changes from calm to explosive, charging with unrelenting force until the threat is gone. For a wolf pack, stealing piglets is a dangerous gamble. For a lone lynx, it is almost unthinkable. Despite their rugged resilience, wild boar thrive not only through aggression, but through adaptability. Their diet spans nearly everything the forest offers: nuts, berries, small reptiles, carrion, even crops along the fringes of human settlements. This flexibility allows them to flourish where others falter, ensuring that their presence endures through changing seasons and shifting environments. In winter, when snow buries the forest floor, they continue their tireless work. Snouts pushing aside ice and debris to uncover hidden sustenance. Herds, known as sounders, band together for protection, their unity as much a defense as their tusks. In the silence of snowbound woods, the low grunts of boar echo like ancient chants. Reminders that even the cold cannot silence life. Though often underestimated beside Dagestan's iconic predators and majestic grazers, the wild boar is a force unto itself, an ecosystem shaper, a fearless fighter, and a survivor in every sense. Above the endless steppes of Dagestan, where grasses ripple like an emerald ocean beneath the wind, the skies are alive with hunters. Against the vast dome of blue, wings spread wide, talons poised, and eyes sharper than any blade. This is the realm of the raptors. Harriers, buzzards, and falcons patrol the horizon. Each a master of the air, each bound to the rhythms of life and death below. The harrier, long-winged and ghost-like, glides low over the steppe, barely skimming the grasses. Its flight is patient, almost lazy to the untrained eye. Yet beneath that calm exterior lies deadly precision. With a sudden dip, the harrier vanishes into the grass, rising again with a vole or small bird clasped in its talons. Their hunting style is an art of patience, death delivered in silence. Higher above, the buzzard circles in wide, deliberate spirals, wings held steady as it scans the earth below. A shadow drifts over the land, and for the small mammals hiding in burrows, that shadow is terror incarnate. When the buzzard dives, it does so with calculated force, striking swiftly and carrying its quarry skyward. Unlike the harrier's finesse, the buzzard rules with dominance, a sentinel in the sky whose presence alone shapes the behavior of those below. Then comes the falcon, the steppes missile. Sleek and relentless, falcons trade patience for speed. When prey is spotted, they fold their wings and plummet with astonishing velocity, a blur against the horizon. The impact is merciless, prey stunned or killed instantly. The falcon reclaiming its speed with effortless grace. Few creatures can match such efficiency. For the falcon embodies the raw physics of predation. Speed turned into power, gravity turned into a weapon. The skies themselves become arenas of rivalry. Buzzards and harriers clash over territories, their aerial duels painting arcs across the sky. Falcons, bold and unyielding, dive to challenge intruders, their cries piercing through the wind. Each raptor carves a domain out of the same sky, yet survival demands constant negotiation, constant assertion of dominance. Still, the raptors are more than hunters. They are keystones of the steppe, guardians of balance. By keeping rodent populations in check, they safeguard the grasses from destruction, preserving the very plains that sustain herds of deer and saiga. Without their watchful presence, the ecosystem would tilt, prey overrunning the land, the balance undone. At dusk, the horizon blazes orange, and silhouettes of raptors drift across the fading light, silent, patient, eternal. In the restless waters of the Caspian Sea, where waves roll against the rugged Dagestani shoreline, a small whiskered face breaks the surface. Round eyes, dark as polished stone, peer across the horizon. This is the Caspian seal, one of the smallest true seals in the world, and the only marine mammal to call this vast inland sea its home. For millennia, Caspian seals have lived in harmony with the tides of this landlocked ocean, their ancestors tracing back nearly 3 million years. Unlike their Arctic cousins, they are uniquely adapted to this brackish enclosed sea. Small and compact, they slip effortlessly through the water, chasing schools of herring, kilka, and other fish that form the basis of their diet. Each winter, when the northern Caspian begins to freeze, the seals gather in great colonies upon the shifting ice floes. It is here, in this frozen world, that life renews itself. Mothers, heavy with young, haul themselves onto the ice, their movements clumsy and labored. But once settled, They give birth to snow-white pups, tiny bundles of fur that blend almost perfectly with the frozen landscape. The breeding colonies are scenes of both tenderness and chaos. Mothers call to their pups with soft barks, noses pressed close in recognition, while males patrol the edges, jostling and growling, defending their small patch of ice. Yet even in these moments of new beginnings, danger lurks. Gulls circle overhead, waiting for a chance to snatch an unguarded pup. And the bitter cold itself is an ever-present test of survival. As spring returns, the ice breaks apart and the colonies disperse. Seals slip back into the dark green waters, scattering across the Caspian once more. In the waves, they are graceful, twisting, rolling, diving with elegance no land movement could ever betray. On a good day, they may swim for dozens of kilometers, tracing the unseen highways of fish migrations. But their future hangs by a fragile thread. Once numbering in the millions, the Caspian seal population has plummeted over the last century. Overfishing strips their seas of prey, oil pollution fouls their habitat, and human disturbance threatens the sanctity of their breeding grounds. Disease outbreaks, fueled by pollution and stress, sweep through colonies with devastating force. Today, they are classified as endangered, a ghostly reminder of how even the sea's mightiest guardians can be undone. Beneath the surface of the Caspian Sea, in the cool shadowed depths, a relic from another age glides silently through the currents. Its armored body shimmers with bony plates, its elongated snout sweeps along the sandy floor. This is the sturgeon, an ancient fish whose lineage stretches back more than 200 million years. While dinosaurs rose and fell, while glaciers carved and retreated, the sturgeon endured. Here in the Caspian, they found their last great stronghold. The Caspian is home to the largest sturgeon populations in the world, including the mighty beluga sturgeon. These leviathans can live for more than a century and grow to lengths of 7 meters, outweighing a small car. To see one breach the surface is to glimpse a fragment of prehistory, a creature that seems sculpted by time itself. Yet for all their size and strength, their legacy is tied not to their armored hides or ancient survival, but to something far more delicate. Their roe. From the roe of these fish comes caviar, the shimmering black pearls that for centuries have been a symbol of wealth, luxury, and indulgence. From the palaces of Persian shahs to the dining halls of Russian czars, Caspian caviar became a currency of prestige, elevating the sturgeon from a river giant to a treasure of global desire. But that desire has come at a terrible cost. Overfishing has decimated sturgeon numbers, driving several species to the edge of extinction. In the 20th century, the Caspian's rivers ran thick with nets, hauling sturgeons in staggering numbers. The fish, slow to mature and reproducing only once every several years, could not withstand the relentless demand. By the turn of the millennium, populations had collapsed by more than 90%. The story of the sturgeon is also the story of the Caspian itself, a reminder that the sea is both a giver and a victim. Pollution from oil extraction, damming of rivers that block ancient spawning routes, and the rising tide of illegal fishing all gnaw away at what remains of this ancient dynasty. Today, International treaties and strict conservation laws attempt to shield them, but the battle is far from over. Alongside them thrive countless other fish species of the Caspian. Shimmering kilka darting in dense schools, carp rooting through the shallows, and catfish gliding like shadows through the depths. Together, they form the lifeblood of the sea, feeding seals, birds, and people alike. As dusk settles over the Caspian, a beluga sturgeon stirs the water with a powerful sweep of its tail. It vanishes into the depths, carrying with it a lineage older than mountains, older than empires. In Dagestan's grand stage of towering peaks and endless steppes, it is easy to overlook the smaller actors. The quiet creatures that slip through the grasses, bask on stones, or sing from the shadows of wetlands. Yet these amphibians and reptiles are the unseen gears in the wilderness, silently keeping balance in a world ruled by larger predators. As twilight falls over the marshy edges of the Caspian, a chorus rises. Frogs, their throats ballooning like living drums, fill the air with a steady rhythm. These amphibians, fragile and yet tenacious, thrive in ponds, riverbanks, and even mountain streams. Their role is vital. Armies of insects fall to their sticky tongues each night, keeping swarms in check and ensuring that life in the valleys does not drown beneath buzzing wings. In the warmer steppes, reptiles rule the stones. Lizards, quick as sparks of sunlight, skitter across rocks, vanishing into crevices at the faintest tremor. Some, like the Caucasian agama, perform dramatic head-bobbing displays, claiming territory with movements as bold as any stag's antler clash. Others rely on camouflage, blending seamlessly with pebbles and sand, living ghosts of the steppe floor. And then there are the snakes, Dagestan's silent hunters. From harmless grass snakes weaving through reeds in search of frogs, to the venomous vipers lying coiled in patient ambush, they embody a delicate mix of beauty and danger. Their strikes are swift, decisive, and precise, thinning rodent populations that would otherwise overrun crops and grasslands. Each movement is a whisper of evolutionary perfection, honed over millions of years. Together, amphibians and reptiles form a hidden alliance of balance. They consume vast numbers of insects, which in turn limits disease and preserves the greenery that feeds larger herbivores. They themselves become prey, snatched by storks, foxes, and even lynx, making them crucial links in the food web that sustains Dagestan's wild tapestry. Where the Caspian laps against Dagestan's shores, and where rivers fan out into marshes and lagoons, life gathers in brilliant spectacles of feather and flight. These wetlands, shimmering mirrors of sky and water, are sanctuaries for some of the world's most iconic birds. Here, flocks rest, feed, and renew themselves during epic journeys that span continents. A hush falls over the morning reeds, then breaks with a burst of color. Rising from the water in a slow, deliberate motion, a flamingo unfurls its wings, flashes of crimson against pale pink plumage. Soon, the entire flock follows, their reflections shattering across the surface as they take flight in graceful unison. These flamingos are travelers, their long legs adapted to wade through briny lagoons where few creatures dare to linger. With their curved bills, they sift the water for algae and crustaceans, transforming the invisible into life and color. In another corner of the wetlands, massive wings disturb the calm. Pelicans, with pouches like living nets, gather in cooperative hunts. They drive fish toward the shallows, scooping them up in synchronized choreography that has played out for millennia. To watch them is to see patience and precision transformed into power. A ballet of survival performed on still waters. Not far away, herons stand like statues, cloaked in patience. Each step is a meditation, each movement carefully measured. Suddenly, an explosion of speed. A spear-like bill strikes, and a fish vanishes into its waiting throat. From gray herons to little egrets, these hunters of the shallows embody stealth and grace, their lives bound to the ebb and flow of water. But Dagestan's wetlands are more than hunting grounds. They are crossroads of migration. Birds from Europe, Asia, and Africa converge here, pausing on journeys that stretch thousands of kilometers. Some rest only for days, others linger for weeks, replenishing their strength before resuming their odyssey. To the casual eye, these gatherings may appear chaotic, but they are ancient rhythms of survival, etched into the very instincts of the travelers. These wetlands, however, are fragile. Changes in water levels, pollution, and human encroachment threaten to unravel the sanctuary that countless generations of birds have depended upon. A dried marsh is not merely a loss of water, it is the silencing of calls, the fading of wings, the breaking of journeys. In the shadows of towering mountains and the heart of fertile meadows, life is not only measured in tooth and claw, but also in wings that whisper and movements so small they can be missed by the untrained eye. Dagestan's wilderness is held together by some of its most delicate inhabitants, pollinators. Without them, the colors of the land would fade and the cycles of life would fracture. On a summer morning, as the alpine meadows burst into bloom, butterflies rise like fragments of painted silk caught in the wind. The Apollo butterfly, with its white wings dotted in crimson, drifts across the slopes, drinking from mountain flowers. Nearby, swallowtails shimmer in yellow and black, their delicate forms belying their resilience. Each sip of nectar carries invisible cargo, pollen, passed from bloom to bloom, ensuring that the meadows return year after year in the same riot of color. Beetles, though less celebrated, are no less vital. In the forests, stag beetles wrestle like miniature gladiators, their antler-like jaws locking in contests of strength over mates and territory. Other species slip into the undergrowth, breaking down decaying wood, recycling nutrients, and quietly feeding the roots of towering oaks and beeches. Though unseen, their labor sustains the very soil underfoot. Among the most tireless of Dagestan's workers are the bees. From wild hives tucked into rock crevices to hives nurtured by mountain villagers, they hum with ceaseless purpose. Each worker traces a path across the land, linking forest to meadow, tree to blossom. In their wake, fruits swell, seeds scatter, and life multiplies. Without their buzzing industry, much of Dagestan's bounty would wither away. Pollinators are more than survivors, they are creators. Their roles ripple outward, shaping the diets of deer and bears, sustaining birds that feast on berries, and even influencing the migrations of larger grazers. From the smallest hoverfly to the stately butterfly, they form the foundation upon which larger dramas of survival unfold. Beneath the drama of eagles in the skies and wolves on the hunt lies another, quieter world. A world of fur, whiskers, and shadows. In Dagestan's wilderness, small mammals form the hidden foundation of survival. Without them, the great predators would starve, and the balance of life would collapse. In the meadows, a rustle betrays the presence of a vole. Barely larger than a clenched fist, it darts between blades of grass, snipping seeds and stems with tireless jaws. To the casual eye, it may seem insignificant, yet millions of these creatures fuel the very engines of survival. Voles, mice, and gerbils feed owls in the forests, foxes in the steppes, and even golden eagles high above the cliffs. Each one is both a survivor and a sacrifice in the endless chain of life. On the steppes, hares bound across the open land, their long ears scanning for danger. Agile and alert, they can vanish in a heartbeat, darting in zigzags to outmaneuver pursuing predators. In winter, their coats pale, blending with snow to outwit hunters. But even the keenest senses cannot always escape the lynx's silent approach or the shadow of a diving eagle. For hares, every meal of grass is taken in the tension between life and death. Rodents, however, are more than just prey. In their burrows, they become engineers of the earth, aerating the soil, redistributing seeds, and shaping the very fertility of the land. Some species hoard food for leaner months, unknowingly planting the forests of tomorrow. Their tiny tunnels weave beneath the ground like hidden highways, binding the ecosystem together. Owls sweep silently through the night, their talons closing on an unsuspecting mouse. A fox trots through the grass, ears pricked to the faint scratching beneath the soil. Even brown bears, in times of scarcity, will dig into burrows for the small lives beneath. For predators large and small, these mammals are currency. Life exchanged for life. Among Dagestan's mountains and sunlit slopes, where jagged cliffs meet the steppe, life often hides in plain sight. The rocks, warmed by the day's sun, appear lifeless, yet they shelter a community of survivors that rely not on size or strength, but on silence, camouflage, and patience. These are the reptiles of Dagestan. Vipers and lizards, masters of stillness and deception. At first glance, a stone resting on a hillside is nothing more than part of the landscape. But then it shifts. A lizard darts across the surface, its scales glinting like tiny shards of the very rock it mimics. With bodies built for agility, These reptiles disappear into crevices at the first sign of disturbance. Some species, like the Caucasian agama, can cling to near-vertical walls. Their movements as fluid as flowing water. Others bask openly, soaking heat into their bodies before vanishing with a flash of tail. For lizards, survival is a dance between visibility and invisibility. Higher up, in the rocky outcrops and stony scree, danger coils in silence. The Caucasian viper lies in wait, its patterned scales blending seamlessly with the mosaic of rock and shadow. Each curve of its body mimics the cracks and ridges of the earth, making it nearly impossible to distinguish predator from stone. A careless step from a mouse or an unwary bird brings sudden violence. A strike so swift it seems like a blur. Venom courses through the victim's veins, subduing it within moments. For the viper, venom is both a weapon and lifeline, a means of hunting and defense in a world where missteps mean death. Unlike the hunters of tooth and claw, these reptiles are specialists in economy. They conserve energy with precision, waiting hours or even days for the perfect opportunity. Their patience is their power. A lizard poised motionless under a hawk's gaze, or a viper lying in perfect stillness as footsteps echo nearby. Both embody the art of survival in the harshest terrains. The relationships between these reptiles and their environment run deep. Lizards regulate insect populations, quietly ensuring that swarms do not overwhelm the grasses and crops. Vipers, in turn, keep rodents in check, balancing the food chain beneath the notice of larger predators. Their existence is not only one of survival, but of service. Threads in the fabric that holds the ecosystem together. Yet their lives are fraught with peril. Raptors scan the rocks for lizards, striking with merciless accuracy. Snakes risk the talons of eagles or the determined strikes of humans who fear their venom. And as the sun fades, the temperature drops, leaving these cold-blooded creatures vulnerable, dependent on the land's warmth for life itself. In Dagestan, time is not measured by clocks or calendars, but by the endless cycle of its seasons. Each turn of the year reshapes the land, driving its creatures into new trials of endurance, renewal, and survival. Spring begins with a quiet transformation. Snow loosens its grip on the mountains, and rivers, once shackled in ice, rush free with furious energy. Valleys explode in green as wildflowers carpet the meadows. It is the season of rebirth. Bezoar ibex clash in displays of dominance, their horns cracking like thunder across the cliffs. Birds return from distant migrations, their calls stitching sound back into the air. Frogs awaken in marshes, filling the night with choruses that echo across valleys. For predators, spring is a time of opportunity, when newborn fawns, calves, and chicks fill the land with fragile life, waiting to be tested by tooth and claw. By summer, Dagestan is overflowing with abundance. Forests grow heavy with berries, rivers teem with fish, and the meadows hum with pollinators. Brown bears roam through golden grasslands, their diets shifting from roots to the sweet bounty of fruits. Eagles soar high, using the thermals of hot days to scan for prey. Yet with plenty comes heat, and survival depends on endurance. Animals retreat to shade or water, conserving energy against the scorching sun. For many, It is a season of growth and preparation, of building reserves for the harsher months ahead. Autumn arrives with a roar, as nature prepares for the inevitable struggle of winter. Red deer fill the valleys with their haunting bellows, antlers locked in fierce duels for the right to mate. Foxes and wolves sharpen their hunting strategies, taking advantage of prey fattened by summer's generosity. The air grows crisp, leaves burn in shades of red and gold, and an urgency spreads through the wilderness. This is a season of battles and transitions, where survival depends on strength, cunning, and the gathering of stores. Then comes winter, the great equalizer. Snow buries the land in silence, cloaking mountains and steppes alike in a merciless white shroud. Food becomes scarce, and every movement demands precious energy. Lynx prowl silently through snowdrifts, their padded paws carrying them effortlessly where others falter. Wolves hunt in packs, testing even the strongest of prey against hunger's relentless grip. Small mammals retreat underground, clinging to caches of seeds and roots. For many, winter is not about living, but enduring, surviving long enough to see the return of spring's promise. Through these shifting rhythms, life in Dagestan persists. Seasons bring change, but also continuity. The battles of autumn return each year. The hunts of winter replay against new snow. The births of spring rise again from the ashes of hardship. It is a circle older than mountains, older than memory, turning endlessly. Across Dagestan, every creature, large or small, winged or furred, venomous or gentle, is bound by the same truth. Survival comes at a cost. The lynx stalking silently through a snowy gorge, the eagle diving with lightning precision, the viper coiled in shadow, the hare frozen in terror. Each life is a part of a greater balance, a drama replayed with every sunrise and every storm. Predators and prey are not enemies. They are partners in an ancient dance, each shaping the other over generations. Wolves keep herds sharp and agile, testing the slow and the weak. Rodents and hares, though hunted relentlessly, provide the very foundation upon which countless species depend. Without them, the owls would fall silent, the foxes would fade, and the eagle's wings would no longer stretch wide across the skies. Even insects, so often overlooked, drive this balance, feeding birds, bats, and reptiles, while pollinating the flowers that sustain herbivores. The resilience of Dagestan species is astonishing. From the Caspian seal enduring harsh winters on ice floes, to the tiny mountain vole burrowing deep beneath snow, life has learned not just to survive here, but to thrive. Adaptation is written in every feather, every claw, every strategy of camouflage and cunning. The ibex's horns are carved by centuries of battles on cliff faces. The snake's venom is perfected by ages of trial and survival. The migratory bird's wings are maps of continents, guiding it back to the same wetlands year after year. Yet for all their differences, they share one truth. The land itself is both cradle and battlefield. The mountains nurture with water and shelter, but they also demand strength from those who climb them. The forests give food and refuge, yet conceal dangers in every shadow. The steppe spreads wide with grass and prey, but leaves its creatures exposed to the sharp eyes of raptors above. In Dagestan, the land does not play favorites. It offers, and it takes away. And so the cycle turns endlessly. Birth follows death, and death feeds life. The hare's struggle fuels the fox's survival. The fallen tree nourishes insects, which in turn feed birds, which in turn raise chicks that will one day spread seeds back to the soil. Even the silence of winter holds the promise of spring's renewal. It is easy to see nature only as cruel, as a place of constant battles. But in truth, it is also a place of harmony. The hardship is not meaningless. It is the rhythm that keeps the world alive. For without predators, prey would overwhelm the land. Without prey, predators would vanish. Without struggle, there would be no strength, no growth, no continuation. For all the majesty of Dagestan's wilderness, its fate is tied not only to predators and prey, but also to the choices of humankind. No creature has shaped this land more than people. And that influence is a double-edged sword, capable of both destruction and protection. On the positive side, awareness of Dagestan's fragile ecosystems has grown steadily. Nature reserves and protected zones have been established to safeguard endemic species like the Dagestan tur and the Bezoar ibex. These sanctuaries offer more than safety from hunters. They preserve entire ecosystems where rivers, meadows, and peaks can thrive undisturbed. Ecotourism, too, has become a lifeline. Travelers who trek the Caucasus cliffs or birdwatch in the wetlands bring not only admiration for nature, but also economic incentives for local communities to protect it. Conservation groups and scientists, often working in collaboration with international partners, have studied endangered species and promoted sustainable practices. These efforts prove that when humans act as guardians, wilderness can recover. Yet the threats are real and pressing. Poaching, though reduced in recent years, still shadows Dagestan's wildlife. Horns, pelts, and even meat tempt those willing to break the law, leaving species already struggling to survive even more vulnerable. Overfishing in the Caspian has devastated sturgeon populations, pushing these ancient fish toward the brink and threatening the very legacy of caviar for which the region was once famous. Pollution from industry and agriculture pours into rivers in the Caspian Sea, poisoning waters that sustain seals, fish, and migratory birds. And looming over all these threats is climate change. The Caucasus Mountains are warming, glaciers receding, and snowpacks thinning. For species adapted to icy winters or seasonal flows of rivers, these shifts are profound. Alpine meadows shrink, wetlands dry out, and migration routes become more dangerous. Animals face not just predators, but the unpredictable force of a changing climate. Will we preserve the snowcock's call echoing in the valleys? The eagles dive across the cliffs? The seals rest on Caspian ice? Or will they vanish, remembered only in stories? Dagestan's wildlife is a fragile inheritance. Its survival depends on our choices. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if Dagestan's wilderness left you in awe, don't miss our journey into the frozen Arctic.